GRRP has put forth a proposal to the government, and it's a several multi-tiered proposal. Really, is what we're looking at, and we both briefed the legislature already, although it was kind of just around the table using hard copies to explain everything as best as we could. With the governor's office, the chief of staff organized all of the stakeholders. So we had the Guam EPA folks there, we had Public Works, we had GITA, and we had the CCU folks, because there's an angle on the power with waste to energy. So we discussed not only the Guatali landfill, we discussed the Layon landfill, but we also discussed the waste to energy project, all three of it kind of in one setting, with the legislature and with the governor's office. What we discussed basically is that we need to get our Guatali permits quickly. Okay, we are now at that phase in the whole permitting process where the only thing left to do is the 45-day public comment period as required by law. So if we can get the 45-day public comment period started, and we anticipated it to be 1 June, and it's delayed. We understand for the delay, and so we're waiting for it now to be finalized this week, and hopefully it'll be out in the media so that we can start the 45-day public comment period. Once that's done, and let's say that it's sometimes towards the end of July, then we will have our permits. We don't anticipate any major issues that would be brought up regarding the environment, the health and safety and welfare of the people living in the vicinity, because we've dealt with all of those questions over the past 2 or 3 years already. So I think during the public comment period, most of the comments that we're going to get are probably the same that we've heard over the past few years, or if there are any more issues with the homeowners in the vicinity, we hope we've dealt with it already, and we're going to take care of them individually. So we have some thoughts in terms of what we term as developmental costs that we have to, put into the cost of this development in order to take care of the homeowners around that area. So we don't anticipate too much of an issue with those homeowners. So if we do get our permits for the Guatali landfill, then we would immediately begin construction. All right, and that requires, of course, a process through the Department of Public Works, which we are doing at the same time, so that we get the construction permits out of Public Works immediately. We already have the clearing and grubbing from Public Works. We already have for the road system. We just need the final construction permit now for the landfill area. So once we get all of that, we can pretty much complete this landfill in Guatali by the early part of next summer. Doesn't take too long because there's already pretty much of a natural pit there, so we just have to make sure that it's environmentally sound and that it's a sanitary landfill per se. And so I know that the Layon landfill is slated to be completed by the end of August or early September, and everybody's anticipating that that should be operational probably sometime in the early fall. What we're proposing to the government, who can then make a case to the district court, is allow Guatali to be built first before you start to use Layon. Now, what does that require? Well, it may mean that beyond the September deadline for the Layon landfill to be using or to be receiving solid waste, let's extend it until next summer, okay, early part of next summer. This will allow Guatali to be built, so we continue to deposit solid waste at the ORDOT dump. The engineers can calculate just how much more can the ORDOT dump receive, and if it's possible, then this is the best approach that we think is good for the island. And so we would build Guatali. It'll be completed by early next summer if we get our permits by the end of July, for example. Then we would deposit solid waste there immediately. We would then continue to deposit solid waste for the next 3 years at the Guatali site. Reasonable tipping fee for everyone, okay? And this is what we are anticipating. This 2 to 3 years of depositing solid waste at Guatali will allow us to then build the waste to energy facility. And we can... No, it could be at Guatali, or it could be up north by Tangisan. These are two of the possible sites. So we would then take 2 to 3 years to build the waste-to-energy facility, either at Guatali or at the Tangisan northern site next to the power plants up there. Once that is completed, then we will bring the solid waste there rather than at Guatali, and we would burn it. We would create electricity, of course, and then we would deposit the ash at Layon. And we would continue to deposit the ash at Layon until we fill it. Now, that only has about a 10-foot depth in cells 1 and 2. So we should be able to fill that within, a couple of decades, maybe 30 years at best. So we would then complete that filling of the landfill over at Layon with ash and then cover it forever. The ash would be inert. It would not harm the environment. In fact, it would work well with the soil, and you would protect the water table below there. We are wanting to work with the government at this point now to put this plan together in order for the governor to make that presentation to the court at the next hearing, hopefully. Okay. The legislature is also very keen on it. Of course, the legislature doesn't have a voice before the court. It's through the governor. But they're prepared to accept whatever the plan is that the governor wants. They're prepared to put that into law if necessary in order to show their commitment to the court that Guam is unified in this position. So it's not that difficult to write a bill based on this plan because of the fact that, the facts are all very clear. And the other issue for the government, of course, is the fact that they're going to get their $102 million back. They can then use that bond for other purposes, for infrastructure, for other things that they may need. So this is the incentive for the government to look at. And so we got both branches of government pretty much keenly supporting this. The issue here is to try to put it all together into a plan that can be presented to the court. And if the court agrees with it, we're good to go. And as far as GRRP is concerned, we'd like to get the Guatali permits right away.
Click on KUAM.com, bringing the world at home close to you, no matter where you are, nationally recognized for excellence by the Radio and Television News Directors Association.